Hey guys, welcome to today. To get us started, we're going to talk about identifying the precedent set by George Washington. Now, one of the first things you might ask is what exactly is a precedent? Precedent has to do with a previous action or a thing used as a guide for other actions or things. So, it's like a tradition. So, there are some things that George Washington is going to do that all of the other presidents that follow after him are also going to do. So, we're going to take a look at what some of those things are today. All right, let's start with George Washington. He had quite a track record for being a leader. First, he was the commander of the Virginia militia during the French and Indian War. He was elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses. He served as a delegate at the First Continental Congress. He was chosen to be commander-in-chief of the Continental Army. He led the Constitutional Convention as its president, and that's when they knew he was such a great leader, they wanted him to be president of the brand new country. All right, but why did people actually respect his leadership? What was it about this guy? Obviously, it wasn't his teeth. He'll never show you that because a lot of his teeth fell out. He had very bad dental hygiene. All right, so one of the things that people loved about them was he held himself in very high standards of behavior. He actually wrote his own book about it too. He carried himself with dignity and confidence, but he wasn't arrogant about it. So people liked him, but he wasn't like snooty and didn't think he was better than other people. He was willing to stand by his soldiers even in the worst conditions. So they looked back at him during the Revolutionary War, and when he stayed out in the cold with them at Valley Forge and froze right alongside them, that's when they really truly respected him because he had a nice warm cabin he could have went into, and he chose to stay out in those chilly cold tents and encourage his men to keep going. He was courageous on the battlefield. He had several horses shot up from under him. He was known to be an honest person and intelligent. He was definitely hardworking. People showed respect and loyalty and confidence in his men. He was bipartisan, meaning he never took a side. Remember how we talked about he was one of the only presidents to be an independent? He did not side with a particular party, but political parties hadn't really been invented during his time yet. So they quickly realized that he realized that leading the country was too big a job to do it by himself. So he didn't want to lead all by himself. He wanted help. So this is where they started to develop the roles of the executive branch. Who was going to be on the branch and who was going to help the president? So the first thing they did was they created a blank of advisors for the president. Which word do you think would fit in here? Okay, if you said cabinet, you are correct, but I'm not talking about this kind of cabinet. We're talking about a group of men who are going to be leaders, who have background knowledge that are going to help him make good decisions. So over on the right side, you're going to see the different departments that he created and the men that helped him do his job. So the Department of War was going to be in charge of the nation's defenses. If you take a look at the picture there, the Department of War is going to be Henry Knox. The Department of Treasury manages the nation's money. You're correct. State Department is going to handle the relationships with other nations, and the Attorney General, if you see that word attorney, you're going to know that that person handles the government's defense. No, that should be legal affairs. All right, now, here's what I want you to do today for your assignment. You are actually going to go to this Google form, and it's not actually a test this time. This is just an easy way for me to grade your notes. So you're going to open up this Google form, Washington's Precedents, and then you're also going to open up the podcast. So you can have these two screens open side by side, and that way, as you listen to the podcast, you can switch over to the notes and take your notes. You can stop and start this podcast as often as you need to be able to get all of the information. One other quick tip I'm going to give to you, because the video is a little bit slow, he talks a little bit slow. So if you go down here to the little settings wheel and you do the playback speed, I would play it at 1.25 or 1.5, and it sort of speeds up his voice a little bit, gets you through the video a little bit faster, and you don't go to sleep. Hope things are going well for you guys. Miss you. See you soon.